What is my crime? What is my crime and the crime of my group? That is what Nnamdi Kanu is asking Nigerian government. What is that crime that Nnamdi Kanu committed? Can you please list out? No man born of a woman will be able to respond to this question because secession, yes, self-determination is not a crime. It is only criminal government that is counting it as crime, and that is Nigerian government. You see, I wanted to listen to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the great prophet, the greatest freedom fighter we have in our time, who has already hated his life for his people. Oh my goodness, let's hear him out.
Tonight, they must ask themselves this simple question. Which crime did Nnamdi Kanu and his co-defendants commit? Which crime did we commit? Somebody should name it. Because secession is not a crime. But because they are lazy, because they are not properly educated, because they are badly tutored in law school, they don't understand this very simple fact that there is no crime called secession in the laws of Nigeria. They don't know this. Even Bintan Yako as a judge doesn't know. That is how sad it is. I would have thought it is beholden on anybody presiding over such a high-profile case to do a little bit of research. Do some research. You cannot go to a Sharia school, come out and go to a Sharia court, and you come out and you're the Chief Justice of the Federation. You don't know anything about common law. This is called common law. You cannot prosecute somebody for doing something that you have already ratified in your own law. The African Charter for People and Human Rights, you have ratified, and there it is explicitly clear. People have the right to self-determination. Is it that you don't understand English language, or you're finding it difficult to comprehend it? What is wrong with these people? Nigerians, I keep asking myself. Are they that stupid and that daft? Asking for Biafra is not a crime. Therefore, your revocation, your arrest warrant, or whatever nonsense you call it, cannot hold any water. If it comes before a judge in the Western world, you become the laughingstock. They don't understand this, but we must educate them. We must enlighten them because they are not capable of reasoning. We have committed no crime. Secession is not a crime. Request for a referendum is not a crime. People in Quebec, in Canada, they are doing it. Here in Scotland, they are doing it. And also, to a limited extent, in Spain, they are doing it. Referendum is legal, it is valid, and it can never break any law. Asking somebody to refer a very thorny question regarding the sovereignty of a nation to a people to decide where they wish to belong to can never ever be a crime. Self-determination is not a crime. I am therefore at a loss to understand why Bintan Nyako is allowing this case to move forward. If the intention of the Fulani Janjaweed bench warrant issued yesterday is to get me to stop exposing Jubril al-Sudani, then not only is Bintan Nyako mistaken, but the entire Fulani cabal is embarking on one hell of an expensive exercise in futility, I assure you. I will redouble my efforts to ensure that the impostor from Sudan is driven away from office in disgrace. The whole world knows. All the meetings that I go to, I tell foreign government officials, I tell them, you know that Buhari is dead, that Jubril is there. All they do is to look at me and say, but Nigeria has independence. It's their matter to determine or to decide who sits in Asarok, not the Western world. That's what they tell me. Who doesn't know that Buhari is dead? If by the issuing of this bench warrant you're trying to stop me from exposing Jubril, then you have failed. Because you don't know how I react to issues. You don't know how I reason things through. You don't know how I react in adversity. I am destructively stubborn. That thing you think that if you do it to me somehow, I will capitulate, that is when you're emboldening me the more. That is when you're giving me more strength. You cannot intimidate me. Not now, not tomorrow, not ever. It is the Nigerian state that is populated by cowards. You're not ashamed of yourselves that you came to the house of an unarmed man, Elysia Mafaruku, with fighter jets, helicopter gunships, and a battalion of Nigerian army. DSS, everybody, police, everybody came. Imagine when I'm armed, what you will do. And that time is coming. I say my own openly. It is coming. If you like, issue your bench warrant from now till thy kingdom come. It will never ever stop me from doing the work that Elohim asked me to do. That the zoo must fall. That zoo must collapse, it must fall. And the name Nigeria will no longer exist. That I can assure you. My devotion to the absolute and puritanical, I said puritanical, pursuit of the total restoration of the sovereignty of the Republic of Biafra is unwavering. Unwavering. There is nothing anybody can do to dissuade me from pursuing this very noble path that Chukwuka Abiyama has set before me. Nothing. Bintan Yako and her fellow Fulani handlers, because the all Fulani is a Fulanized country. You know, Yoruba will not say anything because half of them are Muslims. They are aligned with Fulani and they always will. They must understand one thing about me. You cannot stop me. If you didn't stop me when I was in the zoo, is it now that I'm free, traveling all over the world, that you're going to stop me? Of course not. You didn't succeed then. You are not likely to succeed now. Common sense dictates that before you send anybody to jail for whatever reason, you first investigate the circumstances that may have led to that person not being available. It's common sense. You asked, you're waiting for somebody rang you to say, I am coming to see you. And unfortunately, they failed to arrive. Isn't the next logical step to ask what happened? Let us find out what happened to that very person, why they are late, or why they failed to make it in the first place. This is simple common sense and not even a question for the final interpretation of the law. It's simple common sense. If I give bail to somebody and for some reason they fail to appear in court, the next logical question, rather than this nonsense of where are the shorties, I'll send them to jail, let them forfeit the bond money and all that rubbish. Why don't you ask a very simple, sensible question? What happened? This is the simple question that Binta Nyako couldn't bring herself to ask. Why is this person I granted bail to not in court? She's aware of it, but she chose to be chasing shadows, confusing all the idiots in the zoo, playing to the gallery. Oh, I'll hold you responsible. I could just say this and all that rubbish. What happened? What did the army do? What was the army doing in my house? What was the army doing killing 28 people? For what reason? You saw all these things, you have the facts on your table, and you proceeded to rule the way that any Fulani person would. Like a cow. Because you don't reason very well, you have no conscience. There is no conscience. You said in your law courts that you're there to uphold justice. Where is the justice in allowing the army of Nigeria to get away with impunity? Where else are we meant to hold them responsible? Is it not in a court of law? When this matter came before you, what did you say? When this matter came before you, what did you say? Because it's a Fulani conspiracy. And the Yorubas are too cowardly to say anything about it. It's only IPOB, only we Biafrans. And thankfully, those that maintained criminal silence during the years of persecution, today they're experiencing it. Onogan is experiencing it. And so also many others. I told them, they took Nnamdi Kanu, you did nothing. They took Dasuki, they took El Zagzagi. One day they'll come after you. Today they are chasing everybody. And very soon, female lawyers or legal practitioners in the zoo can no longer wear skirts to court. Because the man who is there now as your CJN, the Sharia CJN, have come out openly to say it's against Sharia law for you to be dressing skimpily to court. That is one Nigeria for you. That is how hopeless they are. And nobody will say anything about it. Absolutely nothing. And they want me to regard them as human beings, and I will never ever do that. The zoo must fall. That is one thing they must know. In Sharia law, it appears to me that what Nigeria is now operating is Sharia law. And in that very Sharia law, there is no room for conscience. There is no room for justice. There is no room to acquit the innocent. What they have done is to structure the legal system in such a way that anything the Fulani wants goes. There is now a Fulani republic. They kill people through their headsmen, and nobody goes to prison. Nobody is held accountable. Nobody is presented before the court of Binta Nyako. But if you agitate for what is rightfully yours, what the law says you should do, they start chasing you to try and kill you. Everything is upside down. Things are never the way they ought to be, because that is life in the zoo for you. In Sharia law that is now governing the Nigerian jurisprudence, there is no presumption of innocent before proven guilty. No more. The law says you are assumed to be innocent until the state provides a very compelling evidence as to why you should be found guilty. But the dubious nature of Yoruba-dominated Nigerian media won't allow truth to prevail. Never. Nnamdi Kanu has been charged with treasonable felony. They start jumping up and down. They will never ask themselves, what is treasonable felony? What constitutes treasonable felony? What are the ingredients of the crime? When you charge somebody with murder, it means that somebody was killed. A life was lost. Not because you hear murder, you start jumping up and down. Before you charge somebody with murder, are you not going to ask about the dead body? Or catch the person committing that very act? Or maybe get another weapon or a forensic, anything at all to tie the accused with the victim. Even circumstantially. In this case, there is nothing. Your average, badly educated Nigerian hears treasonable felony and they start to hyperventilate. They don't even know the meaning of it. They just don't understand. To some of them, treasonable felony means overthrow a coup. You know, the litany of coups in the zoo. But for you to commit a coup, you need a gun, isn't it? Overthrow of government. You make a broadcast overthrowing a government. Is that not correct? With guns. Holding the head of state to ransom. Isn't it? Is that not how it is done? How come all of a sudden, when people who should have remained in a university, maybe for 30 years, they go to school for 2.5 weeks, and they come out, they hear treasonable felony, and they start to jump up and down. They don't even know the meaning of it. In the context of self-determination, there is nothing like treasonable felony. It's pure common sense. They are doing what they are doing because they hate Biafra. They hate to hear the word Biafra. They hate to hear the name Biafra. But that is their problem. That is their business. Because we shall continue until Biafra is restored. Before the white man came, we had no dealings with Fulani people. None whatsoever. Before the white man came, the Yorubas were on their own. We had no dealings with them. Somebody came from this very land, traveled all the way to West Africa. One morning got up and said, you, from today your name is Nigeria. And these monkeys are jumping up saying I will defend Nigeria. God bless Nigeria. Do you see how idiotic you are? How foolish you are? Come to Europe now and create country for them. Isn't it? Come to Europe and create country for them in Europe. And you see what they will do to you. They will hang you in the village square. Come to Europe and create a country. Maybe Umu Okeke or Umu Abiodun or whatever they call it, however they say it in Yoruba language. Come and create. All of you are jumping up and down at the creation of a white man. I feel sorry for all of you. I feel sorry for all of you. That is how daft and idiotic you are. Did your father create Nigeria? All the people that you're calling your so-called founding fathers, where did they found Nigeria? Where were they in 1914? Huh? Where were they when the zoo was created? Your founding father. Founded what? Where? When? How? Oh, because you hear Americans talk about their founding fathers. So you think it's sweet. You might as well have your own founding father for Nigeria. Stop making a complete mess of yourselves, all of you. All of you. I am very, very sorry to say. Very, very sorry to say. I wholeheartedly welcome this development. I welcome it. Countless number of innocent men and women are languishing in detention centers without trial. You must listen very carefully this evening. I said thousands of people are languishing in detention without any trial. And do you know what the Constitution of Nigeria says? Some of you will be shocked this evening, but I will educate you. It is explicitly written in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that if you detain somebody for 2 calendar months without bringing them before any judge, without bringing them before any magistrate, their bail is automatic. Any judge hearing it must approve or give them bail. Go and read the Constitution, is there. Let me repeat tonight for those who may not want to understand what I'm saying. Let me repeat. There is an explicit provision in the Constitution of Nigeria that says, if you arrest anybody, you must present them within 48 hours before a court, magistrate or otherwise. If you hold somebody, as the DSS are fond of doing, and the army as well, if you hold anybody for up to 2 months without taking them to court, they will be released automatically. That is what the Constitution says. But do you know why they don't carry it out? This is something people don't know. Because the judges in Nigerian courts, the prison, those that run Nigerian prisons, they are in cahoots. They need the prisons full all the time, so that Dambanza, or whatever his name is, can justify stealing 20,000 naira every day to feed prisoners. And as everybody knows, they don't spend up to 500 naira on a prisoner in a day. It is a scam. Judges get a cut, including Binta Nyako. They give them money. That is why they cannot interpret the law the way it is written. That is how corrupt Nigerian judiciary is. Corrupt to the core. In concert with Ministry of Internal Affairs that run Nigerian prisons, they fail to release people. They fail to interpret the law the way it is written. The Constitution of Nigeria is the highest law in the land. I said highest law in the land. Even if you have your Akaja, whatever nonsense it is, unless you amend the Constitution reigns supreme. If you ask any quack lawyer in the zoo or quack judge like Binta Nyako, they will tell you, of course, Constitution is supreme. But what does the Constitution say about locking somebody up for more than 2 months? Ask them. It is there in black and white. But do you know why they won't release prisoners? Because Dambanza and the rest of the Fulani cabal, they collect 20,000 naira. This is from their own mouth what they said, not something that is made up. They collect 20,000 naira to feed each prisoner every day in the zoo. So if they judiciously interpret the Constitution the way it was meant to be interpreted, that means they won't have many prisoners to collect 20,000 naira on their head every day. Now you understand what is happening, don't you? That is why Binta Nyako cannot tell the world the crime that I've committed. That is why your so-called AG, whatever it's called, Attorney General of the zoo, another Fulani boy, I'm older than him by very many years. That is why nobody today, no Yoruba journalist, nobody can tell you the ingredients surrounding or supporting the charge of treasonable felony that they leveled against me. Nobody can till tomorrow morning. I've done nothing wrong. Because they're in a zoo. They are animals in a zoo. I am happy with this very development. Now I'm waiting for them. We are checking every blessed day. I want an Interpol notification. Once we receive it, the zoo will be torn to pieces. In a competent court of law. Here in England. They'll be destroyed, they'll be decimated. That's what I'm waiting for. Because the judge will ask you now, why are you putting his name there? Interpol will answer. First of all. And then all the facts will see the light of day. They think we don't know what we're doing. It's a trap. A very clever trap. And they have jumped, as usual, they will jump into it. You will enjoy your stupid, sensational headline, maybe for 1 day or two, and that's it. And then the gravity of the mess you're in will then dawn on you. It has happened before. It will always happen again. It will happen again. I am waiting for their Interpol request or the international arrest warrant to be issued. That's what I'm waiting for. Then we head to court. We go to court now. It's not too far from here. We go to court. And you know, it's the UK now. They'll report it. Of course, they will pay money as they normally do. The same way they paid CNN not to report Biafra. No matter what. The same way they bribe BBC. They have I give them credit. I give Fulani credit. They have very strong lobbying firms all over the world. They have them in Washington. I even told you in Israel. Do you know that the zoo paid some people in Israel to talk nonsense against me? Are you aware of that? I went to Israeli parliament and they told me what some of them were saying. They went, do you know that Nigeria bribes every country in the world? People don't know the number of enemies that we're fighting. Or Chukwu Kerem is fighting on our behalf. So if you don't know, when you come out sometimes and just shout, all hail Biafra, and you go to sleep, you don't know what we are saying. You don't know the number of enemies that we have. Courtesy of the zoo. They know how to lobby. I give them that. I give them that. I am waiting for them. Believe in me, I am waiting for them. I'm waiting for that move through Interpol. Then we will launch an all... That we will launch... Oh, my goodness me. Let the time come. I will not say it. I am waiting for them. You want to curtail my movement. You want to limit the number of countries that I go to. I want to assure these Alomajiri people, through Binta and Yeko, and Biafrans alike, that they have all failed. I will continue to travel to and from civilized countries where there is the rule of law. All I'm asking for is to appear before a judge and be given audience. That's all. I am a Biafran that holds British citizenship. Nigerian law courts and their poorly educated judges is a disgrace, complete and utter disgrace to humanity. Binta Nyako should stop acting as the prosecutor in this very case. Anybody in court, you should ask them. It is not Binta Nyako who is objecting. She will say, I object. Our lawyers will ask questions of their so-called witness, and that witness only came to court to tell the court that he was there when a statement was written. That's all. That's all. When they say, oh, we have our witnesses, you will hear the stupid prosecutor say, oh, our witnesses are here, we have them. We are waiting to testify. And you'll be wondering, maybe this witness they are bringing, they saw Nnamdi Kanu import weapons into the country, or they saw Nnamdi Kanu fabricate a bomb to go and blow up a government building, or they overheard me plotting to kill Buhari. That time, the pedophile was alive. No. They're only coming to say, I work for DSS. I was there when the statement was written. And that is a witness. So, but Yoruba media will make you believe that there is this witness they're bringing. They brought this. There is nobody. Absolutely nobody. The witnesses they're talking about is that, oh yes, I'm a DSS officer. I'm from Kogi State. I was there, beside the door when, Benjamin Madbuk walked past me. That's the testimony. And Binta Nyako is in court listening to this rubbish every blessed day. Listening to nonsense. So is that the smoking gun that you assured us? That they have a witness and they have a video. Where is the video? Where is the witness? None. You hear it. Nnamdi Kanu's co-defendants are in court. Do you see how wicked a black person is? Simple truth. Yoruba media cannot tell you. There's simple truth they can never tell you. Because they're evil. And I said to them that, look at what is happening to Britain today. Some of you may know when I said it, that if Britain doesn't leave Biafra alone, Chukwukikabiam in heaven will destroy Britain. It's not the bombs coming from Islamic extremists, no. even today, they are going to have a hard Brexit. The economy of Britain will suffer. I have said this to Britain many times. If you don't leave Biafra alone, you will be decimated. Don't think because they are black, oh no, they're in Africa, it doesn't matter. Believe you me, everything you're suffering is because of what you did to Biafra. I tell them openly, and I repeat it tonight, live, on air. Today is the 29th of March. The time now is 2 minutes past 8 p.m. It's a live broadcast. The whole world is listening. Humanity is listening. Because we are Radio Biafra, the only place where you can get news and also be educated to understand what is happening around you. Some of you now, I'm sure after tonight, you will begin to appreciate what we are saying, that the ignorance of your average zoo judge is staggering, mind-blowing. Some of you heard that I was charged with treasonable felony or treason. Ask them, please tell us what he was doing. What led to this treasonable whatever nonsense charge? They said, oh, he was broadcasting on Radio Biafra. He was calling for the creation of Biafra. That's a crime. So when Nnamdi was agitating for Zoo, Nigeria to be free from colonialism, that was treasonable felony. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The poorly educated judges in the zoo is no match for us. Binta Nyako is the prosecutor in this case. She is a Fulani woman. Her husband is in trouble. Her child is in trouble. She needs to... So it is to use my head and that of Madabugu, Isiwa, Nwawisi, and Onwudiwe to give to the cabal so you can bring out your husband and your child. And you're a judge in a court. In fact, Binta Nyako shouldn't be handling any case at all. Because they will use the husband's position to blackmail her, to give them the type of ruling that they want from her. She shouldn't be handling this case. Honestly speaking, she shouldn't handle it. I was prepared to come to court. I went to Hafia and I said I was going to Abuja with 2 million men. And they came to my house. Who is the coward, I ask you? Why don't you come yourself? Why don't Abba Kyari come to my house himself if he's a man? Or why don't a Yoruba newspaper journalist come to my house? Tell you, Nnamdi. You brought army, you brought Air Force, you brought Navy, you brought everybody to my house. You're not ashamed of yourself. Entire whole Nigerian army coming to look for one unarmed man. Shame on all of you. Shame on all of you, I say. Binta Nyako is the prosecutor in this very case. A judge who is a prosecutor. Maybe in Sharia it works that way for them. Not in this very case, it can never work. Binta Nyako has no jurisdiction to hear this very case. That is why she never allows my lawyer, Ejiofor, to speak in court. Anytime Ejiofor gets up to speak in court, Binta Nyako will tell Ejiofor, shut up, sit down, it's my court. I can do whatever I like. You cannot do whatever you like. You are guided by the law. You are a judge. You are there to interpret the law, not to create your own laws. You are not a law unto yourself. It's your court, yes, but you are not a law unto yourself. Don't arrogate such level of ridiculous importance to yourself. You are an ordinary judge. There to interpret the law. If at all, some of you understand what law is all about. She never allows my lawyer to speak. If Binta Nyako is confident that I have committed a prosecutable offense before her, she should then allow the motion in her court challenging her jurisdiction to be heard in the open. You will then understand. That is why she never wants to hear the prima facie case. Binta Nyako knows there is no case before her. She knows this very well. That is why the prima facie case, she doesn't want to hear it. What is prima facie? Tell us what you did. Is there any evidence to justify what you're claiming? Treasonable felony is simply military coup. You want to overtake that all? And who was the last person to commit treasonable felon or treason in Nigeria? Is it not the dead Buhari? Buhari committed treason. I don't know why black people are so stupid. It is beyond me. The Buhari, before he died, committed treason in 1983. Nnamdi Kanu is broadcasting on Radio Biafra in 2015, and you're charging him with treason, and you're telling me that very country is meant to exist? Binta Nyako, the Attorney General of the Federation, the entire the entire persecuting team of Fulani people, Fulani AGF, Fulani prosecutor, Fulani judge. Do you think Fulani people will allow it? Do you think a Fulani person will allow him or herself to be tried before an Igbo judge, before an Igbo prosecutor, before an Igbo Attorney General of the Federation? The answer is no. The answer is no. Why are we and they're all Islam, all Muslim, and they have an agenda to defeat and to crush Biafra and then march to the sea. We are the fat toad is waiting for them to come and embrace under one Islam, take it or Kondiara, because there will be no Islam in Biafra land. There will be none. If you don't like it, go and jump into the lagoon. Go and jump into the creek and die there. Because Biafra stopped Biafra land from being taken over by Fulani people 320 years ago. God in heaven allowed them to take over Yoruba land. That's why Yoruba people are Muslims. They tried to come into our land and they were destroyed. No beggar can bring them into our land. No idiot can. Not now. Nobody can. Because it's against the will of heaven. If you don't know. No, they are. Best practice in law dictates that Binta Nyako must dispose of any jurisdictional issues before her court, before proceeding to substantive trial. A child doing law 101 knows this. You must dispose of the issue of jurisdiction. You must hear it. It's my court. I do whatever I like. I won't hear it. It's your court. Not a court of law. A Binta Nyako's court, where she can do whatever she likes. All Yoruba, brown envelope media, you cowards, all they are waiting for outside is, oh, what did the judge say? Oh, judge, let us write, give us money. Or they go to News Agency of Nigeria. Binta Nyako even went as far as saying that the only news she wants to leave her court is one syndicated by News Agency of Nigeria or News Agency of Fulani. I was in a meeting where somebody was trying to justify the Awasa Fulani nonsense, and I made it very clear to them that it's not like Awasa. All you have is Fulani. Only one question I put to them: is there any Hausa emir in the north? The answer is no. But Hausa cities like Kanu, Katsina, they all have emirs, don't they? Fulani people, isn't it? They think they are smart, but we're smarter than them. Best practice in law dictates that Binta Nyako must hear if she has jurisdiction over this very case or not, because she doesn't. If she hears it, she knows the case will collapse. And some of you don't know what they're planning to do, and I will tell you tonight, and listen very attentively. Do you know that they rushed to a Fulani judge, who is now the chief judge of the Federal High Court, to go and prescribe IPOB in the dark? You know that prescription nonsense that Yoruba was jumping. I don't know why Yoruba supports so much evil. Unbelievable. You remember, Yoruba has never called for the proscription of Fulani headsmen. Never, because they're cowards. IPOB was proscribed. Yoruba media was jumping up and down. The IPOB was prescribed in somebody's office without any hearing. A Fulani man took prescription of IPOB to a Fulani judge. It was agreed. Do you know what happened? We filed an appeal for nearly 2 years, over 2 years now. They've not heard the appeal. Do you see the way they work? Do you see how the zoo, do you see why Nigeria is a zoo? It took you less than 5 minutes to prescribe IPOB. Now we are saying, okay, you prescribed us. Let us go back to your court. Let the world hear what crimes IPOB committed to deserve or to warrant being labeled a terrorist group. Now you don't want to hear it. Some of you don't know that the case came up for hearing on Monday. This week, Monday. You know what they did? They adjourned it again to October. Do you know why they don't want to hear it? The Nigerian judiciary, the Fulani judiciary of Nigeria don't want to hear that very case on terrorism. Do you know why? Because they have nothing against IPOB. And if they hear it, they are bound by law to lift that ban, to lift that terrorist tag on IPOB. So what they have done is to move it to October, waiting for Binta Nyako to convict somebody. So they can use it to say, oh, after all, Binta Nyako has convicted one of them. That is why we are now insisting that IPOB is a terrorist group. So you don't know that? Because there's no other reason. I have a case against the Federal Republic of Nigeria before ECOWAS court. Do you know that ECOWAS court has never ruled on my case? They've never heard it. Nigeria, every day Nigeria will say, give us time, give us time, give us, for 4 years now, 4 good years, give us time, give us time. If you claim that I committed this heinous crime, why can't you come and tell ECOWAS court what I did? They bribed over the whole of ECOWAS court to a point, ECOWAS asked my lawyer to go and translate his submissions to French. We had to send the documents to France. IPOB paid. We shipped documents from zoo, from ECOWAS court in Abuja to France to go and interpret for them into French and brought it back. It has never happened before. That is what we are encountering, that we don't. My goodness me. When I say the zoo must fall, now you're beginning to understand it. There is no justice. I took them to court before Africa Union. Africa Union, Nigeria has never responded. They are running from that court. They are running from ECOWAS. The only reason why you see Binta Nyako jumping up and down like a peacock on heat is because she's Fulani. She's trying to save her husband and her son. It's their business. They made this possible. I never wanted to go this far, exposing the zoo judiciary. But I'm not a lawyer. We have expensive lawyers here in England. Wait now until we go to a court in England. And I'm waiting for them. I am waiting. Please, put it in the head of the zoo to apply to Interpol. I am begging you. God in heaven, I'm begging you. Let them issue an international arrest warrant. I am begging you. Kamla Hani. I'll destroy them before a decent judge that actually knows the law. Not fools like Binta Nyako. Up until today, not one single credible witness nor evidence has been presented before Binta Nyako. I want Yoruba vindictive media. I want Yoruba media to ask Labaran, the chief prosecutor, to ask the AGF, Attorney General, to ask them, what is that evidence against Nnamdi Kanu? What is it? Can we see it? All of you follow legal cases all over the world. When you're trying somebody for something, you say, oh, he or she committed murder. Here's the murder weapon. Here is the dead body. Here is the blood all over the place. This is... Show me one shred of evidence. I said one. To justify treasonable felony. That I called Buhari a pedophile is a crime that Binta Nyako is sitting on. When the law says that Buhari, when he was alive, should come to court, he should take me to a civil court. But Binta Nyako admitted it as a criminal charge. the law says that the highest thing that Buhari could have done when he was alive was to take me to a civil court for defamation or for libel. Do you know that Binta Nyako accepted this as a criminal charge against me? And these are judges. My Lord, my learned Lord, as your Lord pleases, you don't know that the person sitting in front of you is an empty bag. He's a complete idiot when it comes to law. I told Buhari a pedophile before he died. The idiot Diana is Jubril. Everybody knows that. You keep deceiving your useless selves. And not we Biafrans. I called him a pedophile. And he is a pedophile. And in the grave where he is in hell, wherever he is in hell right now, Buhari is in hell and he's a pedophile. Binta Nyako accepted that. They wrote it down. He insulted the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He called the president the incarnation of evil and a pedophile. Binta Nyako, a judge that went to school, accepted this as a criminal charge. And these are learned people. These are learned, they are learned. Who are learned? That's how foolish they are. Binta Nyako has no jurisdiction to hear my case. She must hear the application before her challenging the jurisdiction of her court. We must be heard. Binta Nyako chooses which application to entertain and which one to reject. No judge in the world worth her salt will ever ride roughshod over the sensitive issue of jurisdiction in her own court. Nobody does, only Binta Nyako. Up until today, as I'm sitting down here tonight, broadcasting to the whole world, there is no single shred of evidence against me. Not one. Not one against Madabugu. Not one against Brad Chimezie. Not one against David. Not one against Abraham Woody. I said not one. And now let me talk to people tonight. I am not a lawyer, but common sense dictates that we must if not understand, but at least appreciate an appreciation of what is right and what is wrong. Remember that they charged us with terrorism. Have you forgotten? You've forgotten. And that was expunged from the charges. Do you know why they brought in terrorism charge? Was because of the statement of Chidebere Nwudi. Listen carefully to this. The statement that they tortured Chidebere Nwudi to give in detention, electrocuted him, forced him to write something. They wrote something and asked him to copy it, and he copied. Listen carefully, please. On the strength of that very witness or testimony from Chidebere Nwudi, they added terrorism to our charges, if you can remember them. We had a very brilliant lawyer, a man called Adoga. He came to court and he argued that Chidebere Nwudi did not commit any terrorist act. Even if we take this statement that you forced him to write, what he's guilty of, if at all, is intention to. And the law of Nigeria says, this was the law they made for Boko Haram. The law of Nigeria says that until you catch a Boko Haram person in the act of committing a terrorist act, you must take him to magistrate court and to rehabilitation. Listen carefully, please. Chidebere Nwudi was therefore, that statement he gave was that led to the charge of terrorism was removed. And Binta Nyako had no choice but to acknowledge and dismiss that very charge. We are no longer answering to terrorism charge. Understand it, we are no longer answering to terrorism charge. Listen carefully. But that same statement that led to the framing of terrorist charges against us that was dismissed by the court is what Binta Nyako brought again this week. Even at a very low level, there's something called double jeopardy. You cannot charge somebody on a statement, dismissed, you still bring that statement back again in a court. Do you know why they're doing it? Do you know why they are doing it? They are doing it because they want to convict somebody or convict Chidebere on terrorism charge. So come October, Court of Appeal will say, oh, one of you was convicted of terrorist-related whatever nonsense. Because of that, IPOB is a terrorist group. You don't know that's why they're doing it? So you don't know? That is why they're doing what they're doing. Very sad indeed, isn't it? But we are here to expose. I'm on air now. If it means I have to come on air every blessed day to expose this way, I will do so. Since they don't like respect, they are so stupid. Do I look like somebody you can threaten with your stupid revocation and all of a sudden I'll keep quiet? Are you drunk? Are you mad? Is your senses, your faculties, are they dysfunctional? Don't you know who I am? The entire case against me and my people is based on a mythical witness, which they have so far failed to produce in court. And tonight I wish to place it on record that Binta Nyako has no shred of evidence before her court to justify the mess she is making of justice. When I asked for jurisdiction to be determined on this very case, prima facie, if anybody can remember, in 2016, early 2017, Binta Nyako said in her ruling, and I'll ask it to be made public tomorrow, in her own ruling, Binta Nyako was asked to rule on what evidence are the charges of treasonable felony based. She said, this is her ruling, her own words, I have no evidence before me to justify this case going forward. However, the prosecution has assured me that they have a witness and a video. So, Madam Judge, you're telling me that you are keeping people in prison, collecting 40 million from them to give them bail based on something you have not seen as a judge, something that Labran told you, something the AGF told you, and we are waiting till today, we have not seen anything. Do you see how their law works in the zoo? Do you see how their law works in the damnable Zoological Republic? Do you see it? We are in a court of law where the evidence, there is something called rules of disclosure. And I didn't write these things down anywhere. It's just pure common sense. If you watch ordinary courtroom drama, you know all these things. Rules on evidence disclosure means that anything that the prosecution has against the defense or the defendants, they must disclose it to the lawyers defending the people so they can prepare for it or prepare an appropriate response. They have not disclosed anything to the defense team. What Binta Nyako does is to go behind and after drinking their fura dununu, or is it upunu or whatever they call it, they sit down and they plot. A judge and the prosecutor sitting down and plotting how to ambush our lawyers in the court the next day. That's what they do. That is what they do. How to ambush our lawyers the next day. If not, how as a judge, I don't know why Fulani people don't have conscience. As a judge, shouldn't you be asking the prosecution, where is that witness you told me has all the evidence to incriminate the accused? Where is that witness? Where is the video you're talking about? There is nothing. You know the video they're talking about? They're talking about a video I actually posted myself online when I inspected the container that brought back or that was housing our AM transmitter, the very expensive AM transmitter. That's saboteurs from Belia went and told government where it was, and they carried it. So you don't know. Video that I made and I said, with this very transmitter, we'll bring the zoo down. That is the video they are going to show Bintan Yako. And that's all. And you've allowed this case to continue in your court, knowing fully well that no crime was committed, knowing fully well that no evidence exists to contradict what we're telling you so far. But you've allowed the case to continue because you want to save your husband and your son. Whereas we're expendable. Of course, why won't we be? Have they not made an attempt to take the plaza from us in Lagos? Did they not stop us from voting in Abuja? Did they not stop us from voting in Lagos and in Kanu? Did anything come of it? The answer is no. There are some people that were stopped from voting in Lagos, Abuja, and Kanu who are still shouting one Nigeria today. That's how foolish some people are. For most of those Yoruba tabloid newspapers that took it upon themselves to defend injustice, I have a question for you. I am asking I'm asking them tonight, where on earth have you witnessed a trial of treasonable felony without any evidence? No gun, no bomb, no plot, nothing. Show me where on this earth. Nnamdi Kanu bail revoked, arrest warrant issued. No, I keep saying, no wonder Africa is so backwards. We are evil. This is your royal, I'm telling you. When you come to Yoruba, you will see what the essence, you see what it means to be evil. Evil. Cunning and evil. From within. They never stand on the truth. I am asking them a question tonight. For you to be charged with treasonable felony anywhere in the world, you must have to be an armed group. Insurrection, rebellion, just name it. Boko Haram is seeking to create an Islamic state in the northeast of Nigeria. When you arrest a Boko Haram suspect, you don't charge them with treasonable felony. You only charge them with acts preparatory to terrorism or whatever nonsense they call it. And you release them. And you put them in the Nigerian army. I only broadcast. And you came with the Air Force, Navy, Land Patrol, everything to my house to come and kill me. Courtesy of Ohaneze and Okezi with Dave Umahi. That they cleverly rigged back into power as if we don't know that's what they're going to do. Of course we know that's what they will do. We know that's what they will do. Yoruba must ask themselves this question. Where is that evidence against Nnamdi Kanu and his co-defendants to justify treasonable felony charge? Do you see why I called Nigeria a zoo? Because they cannot reason. Oh my goodness. Zoo. Those they call Nigerians cannot reason like human beings. How can you accuse somebody of murder without telling us who the victim is? No dead body was found, no murder weapon, nothing at all. And you're trying somebody for murder. That is exactly what you're passing through. That is what Bintan Yako is doing. Because having accused me of treasonable felony, they have failed to date to provide any shred of evidence to back up their claim. None whatsoever. No, I said none. Zero. None. So what other evidence are you going to bring? Is it what you tortured out of Chideboro Mudiwe you're hoping to use to convict people? What is it? I'm asking. Where is that evidence? That's why I couldn't have run away from your court, because you have no evidence against me. Why would I run when there's no evidence against me? You held me in detention for nearly 2 years. No evidence against me. Is it now you're going to produce it? You tried to convince some riffraffs around Biafra land to testify against me. They couldn't come because Habioli Hanan, they know that very well. Because I broadcast on Radio Biafra. That's all. That's the crime I've committed. I'm asking for the freedom of my people. Oh dear. It is highly unfortunate that Binta Nyako, through her actions and conduct, may have given her approval for the invasion of my house with the sole intention to kill me, since she lacked the evidence to convict me in a court of law. By revoking my bail, I am now convinced that Binta Nyako is part of the plot to kill me. That is why she doesn't want to talk about it. She does not, shame won't allow her for that very invasion to be discussed in her court because she was a part of it. She was a part of it. And she's supposed to be a high court judge, planning the murder of somebody she's supposed to be protecting. How everybody's brain in the zoo was cleaned up. People forgot that my house was invaded. People forgot the people that I lost. They just, overnight, they forgot. And you're telling me that they are human beings? No, of course not. They are not. And they can never be. Binta Nyako is part of the plot to kill me. If not, she would have asked questions about how the military invaded my house and killed 28 of my men, including Jack, my dog. What Binta Nyako is saying by her actions is that the death of 28 human beings is of no consequence to her, because those that killed them are Fulani people. I hope now it's beginning to make sense, isn't it? Any sensible or reasonable judge, any judge anywhere in the world, even a judge working for Satan, for Lucifer, any judge anywhere in the world would have recognized that I am a ward of the court and therefore entitled to a measure of protection. Even this simple logic is lost on Binta Nyako and her cattle-loving Fulani cabal. That is why the zoo can never move forward. That is why they can never be civilized. There is no country run by a Fulani person that is advanced. Go and check your history. Use your common sense. Go and look at it. If not for the vigilance of my defense team in the handling of the case of the shorties, by now, Binta Nyako would have put Abaribe in jail. But we fought her to a standstill. You asked somebody to come and sortie somebody, and they did. Your own army, with your own connivance, came to kill that person. And luckily, that person escaped and remained alive. And you want me to forfeit my bail bond? Are you not an evil woman? A Yoruba idiot will tell you, hey, but he's a shorty. The law says the shorty must produce. Are you daft? Somebody is coming to your house. You ask me to go and pick up somebody. I'm a taxi driver. I went to go and pick up somebody. The person didn't make it to your house. The person died in a motor accident. And you're in your house insisting, you must bring that person on. I'm telling you, the person is dead. Are Nigerians that stupid? I'm a son, a senior advocate. The shorty is must. What is the meaning of force majeure? You went to law school. Did you not go to law school? Unforeseen circumstances. The army came. What were the army doing in my house? You don't want to know. So because you want me dead. You want me dead. I thank my defense team that made it possible for those that stood shorty for me not to lose anything. Because the case will be heard in appeal court and it will also go to Supreme Court. And each step of the way, the nonsense that Binta Nyako is doing in her court will be exposed. I feel sorry for her. Binta Nyako should go and ask John Tozo what I did to him. I'll do to Binta Nyako. I will publish the appeal court ruling on John Tozo, that idiot that was hired by Buhari to jail me. And I told him he's a drunkard. He cannot jail me. I'll publish it. how John Tezo rubbished himself. He's a high court judge, he's in court, still sitting, having somersaulted on the law. There's something I'll do to Binta Nyako, so she will know how serious I am. When I fight to the death. I don't stop halfway. And the zoo will find out very, very shortly. So because I told you I'm coming, you think you can tell Interpol. So you think if you inform, you see how foolish you are in Nigeria. So you think if you tell Interpol and they put my name on the red watch, somehow I cannot move about. You're foolish. I will take Interpol to court. So you don't know you can take Interpol to court? You think that Europe is the zoo. You think Europe is Africa. Where police can do anything and them can do it. No, let Interpol try it. I'll take them to court. You hear about it. It will be on TV. It will be everywhere. And then the world will hear about Binta Nyako and what she does in her court. This time, a proper judge that is learned will be hearing the case. Not monkeys with a wig. A human being, a judge will hear the case. The death of my people doesn't matter. Binta Nyako wanted to collect 300 million for Nigeria from my shorties, but she failed. She failed. How many Fulani people charged with far more heinous crimes ever posted a cash bond? Ask yourself this question. How many Fulani people come to court and pay cash to Nigeria? You know, to get bail. The Binta Nyako took money from us, from IPOB. 40 million from IPOB. To grant my co-defendants bail. 4 people who are coming to court today. Of course, we will come to court. Had they not come to my house and killed the neighbor, of course I will go to court. I told them I was coming, but then they came to my house to kill me. But Yoruba won't write about that, you see, because they're evil. They are evil. They will get their comeuppance very, very soon. How many Fulani people post cash bond in Nigeria? I'm asking. This is the question that I want Binta Nyako and that idiot they sent to Enugu to answer. How many Fulani headsmen hacking people to death have you asked to deposit cash bond as part of their bail condition? You don't even bring them to court. They are sacking villages, destroying people's livelihood. They don't come to court. Yoruba won't write because Yorubas are cowards. They don't write about it. All they're interested in is Nnamdi Kanu, to resemble Fulani, to bear the revolt, jumping up and down like a baboon. I want Binta Nyako to answer my questions. How many Fulani headsmen have you asked to deposit cash bond for killing people? Talk less of convicting them. How many Boko Haram suspects have you ever demanded cash bond from? I go through your court records. The answer is none. But because we are Biafrans, because the zoo bribed most countries to despise Biafra. That is why you think you can get away with any nonsense against us. But no, you can't. Because Chukwu Gadam is with us. This is confirmation that we Biafrans are not wanted in the contraption called Nigeria. One law for the Fulani and another law for the rest of the people. That is why the zoo must fall. That is why we must do everything within our powers to ensure the collapse of the damnable zoological republic. Fulani is taking everybody for a ride. A very big ride for that matter. And by the time you wake up, it will be too late. I can assure you, when I speak, write it down on a piece of paper. When it happens, I say, there is nothing I say that never comes to pass. Buhari is dead, buried in Saudi Arabia. The idiot you're looking at is Jubril al-Sudani from Sudan. Everybody knows. Except the monkeys in the zoo. They are ganging up because of Biafra. But that is also their downfall and the downfall of the zoo. I thank you all very much for listening. When next I will come on air, I shall notify you.
That brings us to the end of this very video. You have heard very clearly what Martin Nnamdi Kanu is asking. I think this happened before he was arrested. He was abducted, rather. They abducted him just to silence him so that they will not be hearing him from Radio Biafra. Unfortunately for them, oh my God, another bomb is on their head. Simon Ekpa, the good guy.